Hello, welcome. I'm Lisa Christensen with Watercolor Cards. I'm so excited. I get to share my love of watercolor pencils with you guys. If you find this tutorial to be at all helpful, please subscribe to my channel and like my video. I sure appreciate your support. Let's get started. Watercolor pencils are one of my favorite mediums to work with on cards, especially when we are just wanting to color. It's almost like adult coloring. You can get a lot of fun little details in your colored pencils, or you can kind of keep it a little bit loose or just block and color. There are two main types of colored pencils. They're the wood kind of colored pencils, the ones that you're all used to. Here are my Prisma colored pencils, or you can get woodless colored pencils, which are these. These are from Holtz, and this is just paper, but it's a full, like I can tear off the paper. It's a full on like stick, and I know that Derwent has some ink tints, stick ink tints blocks, which are very much like these, but maybe less waxy. But anyways, I really like these. I think they're really fun to use, and I also have a special love for watercolor pencils. So let me kind of just share with you some of my favorite techniques on using watercolor pencils. Crimson red. And I just like to block in. So the way I'm holding my pencil is I'm holding it more like this, and I'm using, you can kind of tell, I'm using like the full, I would call like the full amount of space. I will often like to use my pencils with a very sharp tip so I can get a nice line, but when I'm just coloring in, I want it to be as flat as I can. And I'm also using a very light touch. I can always go over later and get a thicker, but let's see how this is working. So when I am swatching colors, I will often just lay color on, and then I have a damp brush. It's not very juicy, it's very damp. It's just damp. There's like no water, you know, dripping off. And that is such a pretty red. This reminds me of alizarin crimson, like the title says, and it's just so pretty. And I betcha if I wanted to, I could pick up some of this color that I already have, and I could get almost like a pink color. And that's really pretty too. And so sometimes I like to do that just so I can see the different value. This is the darker value and this is the lighter value, just so I can see, oh, I can get a totally different color almost, because I'm using the white of the paper to make this red look more pink. So I'm just gonna write on this. And this is alizarin crimson. I think there was an I. All right, now I can go back in, and I'm going to do the whole thing. It will not take, oh, so go ahead. I'm going to stop here for just a second and explain to you an interesting thought. My husband, who is a pharmacist, so he does his own sort of practice, right? he asked me, he's like, isn't it a waste of time to swatch your colors? Like, why do you spend so much time swatching your colors? And I had to really think about it, because for an artist, it was just a very simple, like, well, that's what you do, so you get to know your mediums. But the more I thought about it, the more I understood that my colors are like my best friend. And how do I get to know my best friend? I spend time with her, right? Or him. My husband is my best friend. I have to spend a lot of time with him. Anyways, when I spend time with my pencils, with my colors, any color, I get to know them. I get to know the properties. I get to know, like, ooh, I wasn't expecting that pink to be so fresh and just beautiful. I really like that pink. I wouldn't have tried that pink had I not swatched it. So we have to spend time with our colors so we get to know them, so we can play with them, and it's just fun. So I'm moving on to Woodless colored pencils, and basically they are a stick of dried ink that you can draw with, paint with. They are so much fun. I take these Woodless colored pencils with me all the time, especially in the summer, because I want to draw and sketch, but I also want to paint. And so this is a great way to kind of get the best of both worlds. And here you're going to see how I blend just colors on paper. I use the yellow, the red, the orange, the blue, and then the purple to get a beautiful gradient color. These are actually really good for art journaling, because you can get a whole bunch of color on one piece of page. I have a 1 inch and a 1/2 inch. I just wanted to show you the difference between the two. You probably could get away with a 1/2 inch, but since I have a 1 inch, let's use the 1 inch. We always try to use the biggest brush we can until we can't. But look at how beautiful that color is, and look at how awesome it blends. And the cool thing is once I blend it, oh, look at that. I just love it. I'm going to zoom in just a little bit for you guys. Yeah. Look at how beautiful this orange is. Oh my goodness. Oh, alright, I'm going to stop right there because I'm going to get into blue, and then that blue is going to be muddy because I have yellow on it. And I don't want green, but I do want purple. So to not have muddy purple, I gotta clean my brush. Alright, now I can go back in. Sometimes my wash has too much water on it. Oh, look at that purple. And now this watercolor paper that I'm using is only 90 pounds, so I have to be careful not to, but there's this beautiful, vibrant, perfect rainbow order color. The only thing I think I messed up that I don't love, and I don't think I'm going to be able to fix it much, is when I cleaned off my brush here, I didn't get down here. And now I think it's too late. I'm going to have to let it dry and do that later. But there we go. I'm going to let that dry, and then I have basically I can doodle on it. This isn't very waxy. In fact, like this over here is dried, and I could just use my micron pen and doodle on it, and that's really fun. Let me show you how I like to blend. I really love blanket flowers, and so I'm just going to doodle. Since this is my color journal, I'm going to doodle right on here. I'm actually going to switch it, turn it around. So I'm going to make a blanket flower. Blanket flowers, I probably should do just have like this textured in the middle. They're like little seeds, and they like they scatter everywhere. The birds love them. I love them because then I get blanket flowers in places I don't really knew I needed them. Anyways, and then they have these little like triangle-ish shaped petals, and there's like 1, 2, 3. And so I'm just gonna make a quick little sketch like that. And they don't have to be perfectly symmetry. That's why I love wildflowers there. That's pretty. And I'm not holding my micron pen very tight. I'm just doing my thing, you know? I'm just being myself. And then I'll just go in with extra. This is just my way of sketching. It's not the right way by any stretch, but it's my way. And then because I love growing them, I also know that their leaves are like this oval shape. So maybe, and they almost kind of, this one reminds me of a Cosmo. They're probably somewhat in the same family, but they have these really pretty oval leaves. There, we'll do something like that. That is a perfect sketch of a blanket flower. And I'm going to start with I remember my blanket flowers being yellow in the center. So I'm going to and again, this is just a sketch. This is just fun. This is my color workbook, so I can play and enjoy and not feel pressure to have a perfect piece. And I know that yellow kind of just likes to do its own thing. It's the lightest value on the color wheel, so as long as I'm in an allegiance mode, I'm going to be alright. I did pick out orange. I don't know if I'll actually need the orange, but I wanted it just in case. Now I'm going to go in. My blanket flowers always has this beautiful red tip. I like to grow flowers just so I can see the process, so then I can illustrate them a bit better. And I'll grow different flowers every year. Usually they're perennials because they're easier to get seeds for. But sometimes I'll get annuals and they have a certain spot in my garden. I have probably 6 lavender bushes that I love. I could have a whole yard full of lavender and be so happy. I'm going to go ahead and block in this color. I thought I had a darker green, but I guess I don't. So if I don't have a darker green, I will use ultramarine to get a darker color. But I love these woodless pencils because I can really just get a whole bunch of color at once. Alright, now I can go in with my little brush, my little round brush, and I'm going to drag the yellow into the red first. And I'm going to do that all around, and then I'm going to see where that goes, and then I'll add a little bit more definition. And I really just want to get the red blended into the yellow. But I don't want a ton of, and I'm cleaning my brush. I don't want yellow, I don't want red in my yellow. This just to take that out. And this will do 2 things. First off, it's just activating the red. The water that I blended with the yellow is activating the red. Almost every petal I'm just going in, moving that yellow to the red. Okay. Now I see where I need my pops of color. I feel like the end part of the flower is my favorite, so I really want to make that pop. And I really want the yellow to blend in with the red. So I'll have to add a little bit more yellow, I think, into it, but it's going to look really pretty. Okay. All right. Now I'm going to take my brush. A very damp brush, but it's not, I mean, like, it's just damp. And I'm going to add in the red. I know that this red can get very, very vibrant, but it's not vibrant yet, so that means I don't have enough pigment on my paper. And I also know that the more vibrant the pigment is, the thicker it is. But that is a rule just for watercolored pencils. Alright, I don't want to go around the whole flower yet because by that time it'll dry, so I'm going to do that same thing with the yellow now. And I'm going to go in, see how much vibrant that is. Hopefully you can see a bit. Oh, this just makes me so happy. Oh, so pretty. And this is why I could just play with these pencils all day long. And I can always add more yellow. I don't think blanket flowers are they're also called Indian flowers. I've been told that they're called Indian flowers. I like the term blanket flowers because when they grow, it's like a blanket of these flowers just everywhere. And I have them in my sunflower patch. And so they like each other. I don't know why sunflowers don't usually like each other. Anyways. We have, if you get some blooms, like right here is a bloom, I'm okay with that. It's part of it. But look how vibrant that is. And I love these to paint with. That's why I think the Derwent pencils, Inktense pencils, would be really fun to paint with. I don't have any. The blocks, not the pencils, the blocks. So if you have Derwent blocks, I'd love to hear your thoughts, because I bet they're lovely to paint with. Anyways, I do love these pencils. I've had these for over a year, and I cannot get over how much fun they are to paint with. There, okay, I think that one's done. Now all I have to do is wait for this whole thing to dry. I'll add some brown. I think I'll add some brown, and then I will be ready to call it good. So I wanted a darker green, just a little bit of green right in here, and I think right in here will also work. And I don't have a darker green, and if I want something dark, I have to go with a blue. Blue will always make your greens darker. Okay. Oh, look at that, so perfect. All right, I would call that done. I would do that again on a piece of watercolor panel, right, for your card, and just do that, and then maybe write whatever, happy birthday, thinking of you, you're the best. But those were the colors I used. Oh, and the green, can't forget the green. So very bright, very sunny, very cheerful. But give watercolors pencils, woodless pencils, a try. I think I got this for under $20. This set was under $20.